I wanted to start with something that I think is important to say right away. Sometimes when you're doing this work, when you're healing, when you're opening more, when you're receiving more energy, when things start shifting internally, you can actually start feeling more sensitive for a period of time. Yeah. And if you don't understand that, it can be easy to think something is wrong, right? Especially when your emotions are going high, they're going low, they're all over the place. You're not quite sure what's going on. So you're going to notice that your body reacts more strongly than it used to. Again, more emotional. And that's how it is with me. Overstimulated, right? More aware of other people's energy, more affected by noise, environments, information. You may even feel like your nervous system is having a hard time holding what's happening. Yes, happens to me all the time. So, and sometimes that can happen because you are doing the work, not always because something is going badly, right? But because the system is opening, adjusting, and trying to integrate more than it used to hold. So today we're going to talk about that because sensitivity is not always a setback, right? Sometimes it's part of the process. And if you understand what may actually be happening, it becomes easier to support the body instead of fighting it. Why can someone become more sensitive to everyday life than they used to be, right? Now, sometimes this happens because the system is taking in more input than it used to, right? This can be noise, people's energy, crowded spaces, too much information, right? Too much stimulation all at once. So sometimes awareness is opening, but capacity hasn't fully caught up yet. So your body feels more reactive because it's processing more than it used to. So it doesn't mean something's wrong. It's simply sometimes the system is trying to adapt to a different level of input. Why do I feel energetic shifts so intensely in your emotions, right? So sometimes emotional intensity, it's not random, right? When energy moves, emotions often move with it. Things that have been sitting under the surface can start rising more quickly. They can look like sudden tears, and you guys get the sudden tears, the light language often, right? The emotional waves, you'll get them as well. Okay, things are shifting. Irritation, heaviness, right? Feeling off with no clear story. All of the things apply. It doesn't mean something's wrong, right? It means the emotional body is processing change, right? So sometimes what was buried starts moving, and something that was held back starts coming closer to the surface. I know you know what I'm talking about. How can sensitives tell the difference between their own emotions and the energy they are picking up from others, right? This is a big one for empaths and sensitives, right? Because not everything you feel is yours. And sometimes something personal needs attention, right? And then sometimes you're in contact with other people's energy, their moods, their pressure, or their emotional residual. The key is discernment, right? You don't need to absorb everything to be aware of it. A lot of sensitive people were really never taught that. They were taught to feel everything, hold everything, carry everything, and then they wonder why they're exhausted. I see a lot of comments in there about being exhausted. So sensitivity becomes much more useful when it stops turning into identification. Is it normal to feel elevated after an activation and then drop back down to old patterns later? Absolutely, very normal, right? Activation and integration are not the same, right? A person may feel clear, expanded, inspired, elevated, and then later notice old habits, old emotions, old reactions, old heaviness. That doesn't mean the activation didn't work, right? It often means the system is trying to stabilize what you opened.